What is up, all you wonderful, great, spectacular, magnanimously beautiful people out there in podcast land? It is time for the latest, the greatest episode of your favorite politically incorrect sports commentary podcast. Yes, it is time, over 30 years running, for Sports Frenzy 2.0, baby.
Yeah, gotta love it.
That is my brother from another mother, the conquistador, Dave Height.
And that is the maestro, Kevin Crane.
So buckle yourself in, strap yourself in for at least an hour and a half of the most raunchy, awful, disgusting, yet somehow brilliant and intelligent insight and commentary when it comes to the world of sports you will get only from us. You won't get it from FS1. You won't get it from WFAN. You won't get it from The Score. You won't get it from ESPN.
The Eastern Seaboard Programming Network.
Believe me, when we get to the end of the show, I've got a couple things to discuss.
I've got some issues.
I have a feeling we might agree on one. And that's why I think they're going to hold a special place at the end of the show for us. But you know the drill, kids. And if you don't, where have you been? No, it's not a nuclear drill from the 70s. Don't duck your head under your desk. But you know that we do this every Wednesday night. In this case, July the 9th. It will drop early Thursday morning, July the 10th. But we mix things up in terms of what we start with. And we are starting off this week with baseball. Baseball been very good to us.
Baseball.
You would not believe that I am in a piss-poor mood, would you?
No.
I am in a piss-poor mood, Dave.
And this is different from?
Just being in a poor mood.
Okay.
That's my normal state of existence. And I think...
You're taking it to another depth of hell.
I think with sports I'll be okay. When we get to the weekend edition, I have a lot to vent about. So don't forget to check out the weekend edition this coming Saturday morning.
That's right. And where can you find both of these fine podcasts? On Spotify, Good Pods, Pocket Cast, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, Amazon, Audible, and iHeart Sports Frenzy, baby. And the UB2B.
Glad you got that out of the way early. Brilliant as always.
You left it right there.
Don't forget to check out the Facebook page for all of our picks. Right now, currently, Baseball Picks Weekly, NASCAR Wicks Peakly.
Wicks Peakly?
Wow. That was a mouthful.
Picks Weekly.
That was a mouthful, but we...
Obtain.
NASCAR Picks Weekly, and then in 2 short months.
That's like the Toyn costs.
Yes. Football picks. Yeah, it's going to be fun in a couple months, kids. We got fantasy football coming. And the fantasy football shows are back on again.
Oh, God help us.
Yes.
Overanalyzing already?
I've already indulged. CBS Sports Network has put up their first of the year. Overrated, underrated,
drafts
rookies. Oh, yeah. This is my time of the year, biatch. This is my time of the year. All right, but we're going to start off with baseball here on Sports Frenzy 2.0 because, of course, things have calmed down now with basketball. Things have calmed down with the NHL. We have, of course, our NASCAR news coming up, our racing news, and we'll have a lot of miscellaneous sports to talk about. But baseball right now, it's another thing we're going to have to talk about at the end of the episode. Rob Manfred, just God help him, he is such a lovable retard. He's just an idiot.
He can't get out of his own way. He is so fucking clueless, it's not even funny.
But for now, we will talk about what's going on the field. And of course, we always monitor our 2 teams out of Chicago, that lovable cesspool that it is.
God help us.
Disappointed in the Cubs last night. as they shit the bed in Minnesota, but they are still 54-37. The Brewers won again today, beat the Dodgers again.
Brewers are not going away.
God, Pat Murphy is a great manager. He is. I can't believe it took him this long
to get his own gig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Cubs still 54-37, nothing to sneeze about, but they're only 2 up now on the Brewers.
Yeah, that's a hell of an organization.
Yep. Yeah, they're never going to spend $200 million on the payroll, but they will put everything in place otherwise.
Yeah, they know how to draft. They know how to develop.
Yep. So we will see if the Cubs should have an easier road. They should be able to beat the Twins. I had a very, very tough time looking at that score last night with the Twins just beating up on Imanaga. That scared me. Because you got the Yankees this weekend, and that's not going to be easy.
No, and the Yankees have their own issues.
Yes, the Yankees actually lost another one of their starting pitchers. Clark Schmidt goes down for Tommy John surgery.
Another one.
But that lineup will scare you because they're like that dormant beast living under the bridge,
waiting to break out.
So
if they can break out.
And the good thing is, okay, Imanaga did not look good.
But he wasn't awful.
And now he's not in the All-Star game. He did not get selected, so that means he will be able to pitch over the weekend against the Yankees.
Yep.
Matthew Boyd, maybe not, because he did get selected. And deserving. Very deserving.
Very well deserved.
But we lost Jamison Tayo now with a calf injury. He will be out at least a month, if not longer.
Yeah, because with Imanaga's hamstring, they initially thought just a couple of weeks, and it turned out to be over 2 months.
Yeah, so Tayon's going to be out a while.
Yeah. Eek.
So that means the Cubs had better get going, Jed Hoyer.
Carter Hawkins for that trade, boys.
And Dave and I were just talking about this off mic before we started recording. With this earlier trade deadline that's been in place the last couple years, it's a lot harder for teams to bail on the season in mid-July than it was in the past in mid-August.
Mid to late August, yeah.
Right. So now we're debating which teams are really going to give up on the season outside, of course, of the White Sox, the Rockies,
the A's,
the Pirates. But the Orioles have been playing better lately. Now all of a sudden the Marlins are up to 3rd place in the NL East, but they're still well below 500.
Yeah, don't expect that the Braves should not make any moves on bailing.
Yeah, that's the thing. The Braves are the one team that people are probably licking their chops about.
They're not going to give anybody up. They're injury bit. Everybody will be back next year.
Yeah, I agree.
They will be
This
fine.
is just a bad year for them. They're not giving up Spencer Strider, so stop looking. Chris Sale has got the broken rib. He's not even somebody to consider.
Yeah, no, the Braves will stand.
Yeah. But that leaves you with maybe the Orioles. But the Orioles, the big glaring flaw the Orioles had coming into this year was their pitching. And I know Zach Eflin's on the IL, and he was probably their most attractive pitching trade asset. So don't look to the Orioles.
No.
I don't know. And now the Red Sox are making a move now.
They've been playing better, so...
Maybe the Indians?
The Guardians?
Oh, no, the PC police are coming after me.
Yeah, whatever.
Wee-oo. How dare you say Indians?
That's who they were.
But yeah, they've been playing very bad as of late.
Yeah.
And they're starting to plummet. And nobody's catching the Tigers in the AL Central.
No.
So
Tigers are just running away with it.
The Royals are intriguing. If they decide to sell.
I know.
The Twins, I don't think the Twins have anything.
Twins have nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, both the Twins and the Royals sitting at 13.5 back. How the hell are the Twins doing anything? They've got nothing.
No, I look at that lineup and I don't know anybody outside of Byron Buxton. Yeah. He's the only one that I know.
Yeah. And then the Royals seem to be having
and that'd be great.
Semi-disappointing season, but they're not doing that awful. It's just that Detroit's that much better.
Yeah, and I'd love to have Byron Buxton. But that's the one area the Cubs don't need is outfielders.
And yeah, you do not need another.
We need third base and we need pitching. Because as we've been saying, Matt Shaw sucks ass. He sucks ass.
He is not good.
Oh, he takes walks. Yeah, that's the same thing you say about Ian Happ.
Ian Happ's
down under, 240 now as a leadoff hitter.
Why is he still at the leadoff?
Because he'll get hot, and he'll have 2 or 3 days. He'll jack 4 or 5 home runs.
But that doesn't. He should not be in the leadoff spot. He should be down in the lineup.
He should be batting 8th. He's not a leadoff hitter.
No. And I don't know what he has on that organization.
$20 million a year. I'll say it, and I'll keep saying it.
That still doesn't give him the right to be the leadoff when he doesn't deserve to be there.
Why did they let Mark Tauchman go? You guys have Tauchman. I loved him. I thought he was better than Ian Happ. No, we gotta keep Ian Happ, long-time legendary Cub. Kiss my ass. So I guess last week I should be applauding, golf clap, for the Cubs as they, on the 4th of July, against the St. Louis Cardinals, hit a franchise record. I thought this was kind of shocking. This was a franchise record? 8 home runs?
In a game.
Boy, I would have thought back in the old days. I remember that the Phillies game, 23-22. They didn't hit 8 home runs back in that game?
No, that's when people actually hit for average.
Oh, could that be something coming
be a
up
precursor.
soon?
Speaking of averages, Yankees have DFA'd DJ LeMahieu, the 2-time batting champ, who has undergone some serious struggles.
Yeah, and they owe him $22 million.
Yeah. So now, you had a couple years ago that nice run of Tim Anderson and DJ LeMahieu battling year in, year out for 3-4 years battling for the batting title. And now...
Well, let's just get it out of the way now. Because I've been following this all day, kids, because there were some early games that impact this. Now, we're still going to follow the Rockies. We're still going to follow this chase for futility, even after last year's chase for futility, but we are rooting against the Rockies, or for the Rockies.
We are rooting for the Rockies to completely bail on the season.
Because then that will erase the White Sox.
Take the White Sox out of being the worst team in Major League history.
So real quick, the Rockies, 21-71 as of early evening on July the 9th.
And the stupid White Sox couldn't complete the sweep over the weekend.
And that would have helped, yep. So that actually bumped them up a little bit in terms of positive win rate. So now 21-71. Again, I know they're playing tonight. .228 winning percentage. They are now on pace to go 37-125. Still the worst ever. Still the worst ever.
Closing in though.
Yep. So you're rooting for the Red Sox tonight.
Yes, I am.
And then the Reds better show up.
Better show up against the frickin' Rockies.
Because Dave and I took the Reds this week in our baseball.
And they're hosing us.
Well, they're playing better tonight. But the fact they got shellacked 2 straight games, Monday and Tuesday, by the Marlins.
Come on.
At home.
Yeah.
At the Great American Ballpark.
At home. How do you lose to the Marlins, who suck on the road? Ugh.
That's the only hope we've got, is that they've got the Rockies coming up this weekend to close out everything before the All-Star break.
Grr. But we alluded to
I am
averages.
rooting for you. I'm rooting for you to get into second place. I'd be fine with that.
That's all good.
And then you and I can go mano-a-mano over the last 10 weeks of the season. But I do happen to have a big lead.
You do. I got hosed early on.
And I gave you guys a big lead, didn't I? I had the worst pick week 1. I was in last place after week 1.
And
the maestro brain kicks in.
And bumble
don't you say that. This brain is exceptional when it comes to sports. And I fought and clawed and scratched my way back. And now I have a mammoth, monstrous lead, which I will somehow find a way to shit away.
Blow it in the end.
All right, yes, now we move on. We're going to give
We're doing it a week early.
Yeah, we're going to give the Aaron Judge thing a rest for now. We'll see in about a month if he's... The problem he's got is Cal Raleigh. Raleigh is going to be a pain in his ass in terms of winning that American League Triple Crown.
Yeah, the Triple Crown may be slipping away.
But we'll revisit it because he's not quite out of it yet. He's still... If something happens to Cal Raleigh, then Aaron Judge is going to win the Triple Crown.
Yeah. The chase for 400 is pretty much done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's gone. That's over. But the old school chase for a 300 hitter has reached new pathetic lows as of this afternoon.
Yep. Well, I have numbers as of, here we are recording July 9th, 2025. This is as of the end of games, July 8th. The number of 300 hitters at the end of Tuesday's game was 8, with Aaron Judge leading, batting .360. And the great, glorious Shohei Ohtani sits 38th at .281.
Well, I have an update.
Things changed here after the afternoon games.
Yes, and it makes things look even worse. Because after this afternoon's games, we are now down to 7 total 300 hitters, and they're all in the American League. Yes, you heard me right. Freddie Freeman went 0 I think Trey Turner went 0 for the Phillies. So now there are not one single 300 hitter in the National League among full-time batters at all. How pathetic is that? How awful and pathetic is that?
That's well and truly
sad. The
sad.
National League this afternoon, July the 9th, there are no 300 hitters. That's awful.
That's pathetic.
That's awful. And what is it going to look like at the end of the year? 3? 4 maybe?
Who knows? Who knows? Because, I mean, you got Judge at .360, then it drops off to Jacob Wilson from the A's at .335, Jonathan Aranda from the Rays at .327, .322 for Jeremy Pena from the Astros. Then you have Jake Myers from the Astros at .308, and then Alejandro Kirk from Toronto at .306.
He won't last.
He's
gone. A catcher. He won't last.
And then Mikhail Garcia, the third baseman from the Royals at .305. And then Freeman at .299 in 8th.
Yep.
So you got guys who are flirting with being under.
Yep. No, I honestly think by the end of the year, you might have 4. You might have 4. Judge has got such a huge...
He should be able to maintain.
Yeah. But this is awful. and I know you guys get tired of us talking about this. The old school guys talking again about batting average, just like they talk about wins for the pitchers.
Yeah, well, it counts. Sorry, that's what it is. Fuck you analytic geeks who have no clue about the game. There are productive outs. An out isn't an out. If you get guys on who hit for average and you sacrifice them over to get the run, that leads to wins, kids. It shouldn't be all or nothing.
No, this is terrible that we were going to do this in a couple weeks, and now we're already bringing it up, and we've only got 7. With 4 or 5 games to go before the All-Star break. And this is a late All-Star break, by the way.
Very late.
Terrible. This is terrible. Terrible. Oh, did you see, by the way, Chuck is going to do the whole fat shot thing?
Is he now?
Yeah, he's got like an ad thing going on now where he's taking the fat shot and he's going to lose weight. So he's not going to be the round mound of rebound anymore.
Aw, come on, Chuck. Say it ain't so.
What else have we got? We talked about the All-Star game in terms of the rosters for our 2 teams. Interesting thing, though, that might get me to watch. I would not, and I have I had a revelation this week.
The robo-ump?
I had a revelation this week. And this is, again, something we'll bring up with the weekend edition.
That the umpires should not be the the game?
I am tired of people wasting my time. I am tired of stupid sports and these commissioners ruining the sports and all this crap. I have turned over a new leaf for the 472nd time. I am not wasting my time anymore with this bullshit. If you don't give me something worth watching, I'm going to go watch old 70s and 80s shows and movies, and I'm done. And
I got better things to do.
You wait till the weekend edition. I will be going nuclear on many fronts this weekend. So, be prepared. Take plenty of aspirin. Your head's going to be throbbing already. I'm going to make it throb even more, baby. That's what she said. But yes, you're right. I will be watching because they are going to enact the ABS system for the All-Star game. 2 challenges on balls and strikes.
Take that, Phil Cuzzy.
Yeah, didn't somebody get thrown out this week because they tapped their helmet?
That wasn't Cuzzy, but it was somebody else.
Somebody threw a player out.
Because he tapped his helmet.
And that is the symbol in the minors.
To challenge the call.
These umpires need to get a fucking life. And get a fucking clue. We're not here to watch you! We're not!
You're here to call the game correctly. If you fuck it up, own it.
If somebody says your mother sucks donkey dicks, yeah, you toss him. But a guy tapping his helmet and that's an automatic ejection.
If a guy looks and goes, really?
Yeah.
You shouldn't toss him.
What was it? Nico Horner got tossed within the last couple weeks for saying something innocuous. I think he said something like, "Are you having a bad day?" And he got the boot.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
The umpires are getting worse, and they're getting bigger egos.
And none of us give a rat's ass about you, by the way. The only time you're interesting is when you're in a cheating or gambling scandal. And we don't want that.
Or when you're so damn awful, you're drawing attention to yourself, Angel Hernandez.
We all knew that was coming.
The best umpires are never talked about.
Correct. So in other baseball news, just to run through it real quick here, Manny Machado got his 2,000th hit.
Yay!
Well, we don't know. What's the standard going to be going forward?
Maybe that's it.
The Pirates became the first team in Major League Baseball history to win 3 straight games by shutout and then lose 3 straight games by shutout. And thank God, because that was against the Seattle Mariners, who I had last week. So thank you, Pittsburgh, for showing up like I knew you would. And then, of course, I don't think this man is going to be out of a job very long. The Washington Nationals fired longtime manager Davey Martinez, along with general manager Mike Rizzo.
I don't know how you can hold Martinez responsible for this. Rizzo did not give him a team to contend in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, so first off, Miguel Cairo.
Longtime White Sox.
And played for the Cubs.
Yeah, longtime White Sox bullpen coach and was bench coach. Now, bench coach with the Nationals.
Well, he takes over as the interim manager now.
Yeah, he was interim manager when the Sox let Loser Boy go last year.
That's what we're calling him now, Loser Boy? Is that what it said on the back of his jersey?
Yes.
Loser Boy?
Yeah.
You'd be crazy. This is like when A.J. Hinch got released by the Astros because of the cheating scandal. You would be insane not to look at Dave Martinez as a manager. If you are... He's been stuck, like you said, with a team that will not keep their talent. They do a great job of drafting and bringing talent through the pipeline.
But they won't pay, and they won't bring in the free agent you need.
Bryce Harper, bye-bye. Juan Soto, bye-bye. Max Scherzer, bye-bye. So how is Dave Martinez supposed to work with this?
There's only so much that you can do with the lack of talent.
Or, like, it's the same thing we see with Pittsburgh. You get great talent. You actually do have some intelligent minds in the front office who can scout.
But you have a cheap-ass owner who will not pay.
Right.
He said, "Oh, we're not going to pay him down the line, so get rid of him now. Let's retool."
Right.
And then you're perpetually at the bottom, because just when you're starting to get good, you bail.
Yep. That's why you're already hearing rumors about what would it take for the Pirates to trade Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
Isn't that pathetic? I think they have
Second year
control over him for at least 4 or 5 more years. I don't even think he goes to arbitration for 2 more years.
Yeah. It's just stupid.
And shame on the media, by the way. Not us, of course, because we're far, far away, more intelligent, smarter, and better looking than all those idiots.
More in tune of what's actually going on behind the scenes.
But shame. I saw a story on ESPN the other day
well, that's
where they're
problem.
They're proposing what would it take, put together a package, what would it take to get Paul Skeens away from the Pirates? It's like, you're assholes. You're absolute
shut
assholes.
Up, you douchebags.
But they've got
But
other
they
problems.
brought it upon themselves. The Pirates have brought it upon themselves.
You're right. They're one of those handful of teams that take the revenue sharing money and go, "Oh, we'll take it. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you."
Because Rob Manfred doesn't have the balls to put in a hard floor and a hard cap.
Now, we did mention, again, the All-Star game, which is going to come up probably another time or two. Clayton Kershaw did get the quote-unquote legend pick.
Who really gives a shit about a legend pick? That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard of.
I agree to a point, but here's the thing. We're talking about these benchmarks and how they're shifting and changing. And you and I we just talked about 300 hitters and how we don't have barely any anymore.
Yeah. So what, just because he got his 3,000th strikeout,
Yep.
let's throw him on the All-Star? Bullshit.
He could be the last one. Maybe Chris Sale. Chris Sale might get to 3,000.
But he doesn't have an All-Star worthy season going.
He is the 20th pitcher, thank you for the lead-in, the 20th pitcher ever to record 3,000 strikeouts, and that is going to become an absolute rarity.
Yeah, you're not going to have it anymore.
No. You're never going to see 300 wins.
Oh,
You'll be lucky
no.
to see 200 wins. Once Scherzer and Verlander and Kershaw retire.
Yeah, you'd be lucky to get 125 the way these analytic geeks are destroying everything.
Yep. But I would like to point out, just for my own personal pleasure and enjoyment, that's what she said, the LA Dodgers have lost 6 games in a row. Dave Roberts will figure out a way to screw that team up.
God.
The Mets and the Dodgers invested so much money in 2 players, one on each team.
And
They didn't care about the pitching staffs at all.
And that's showing for the Dodgers big time right now.
Now the Dodgers still have the best record in the National League. But you look across over at the American League, and you look at Tarek Skubal, and that guy could literally push the Tigers all the way through.
Oh, absolutely. The guy
3
is
starts
a
in
fucking
the World
machine.
Series.
He is a machine.
Yep. And I do love, by the way, I love the Astros because they're doing it again. The Astros always, they retool the right way. They do pay players, just not everybody.
Right,
Yes?
they pick and choose, but they know how to draft and they know how to develop.
Right, but they will
And they know when to cut bait, too.
Right. Now, the whole Kyle Tucker thing, I'm glad they decided to trade him to the Cubs. I've already said, I'm on record, the Cubs will not re-sign him because they're cheap-ass idiots. No way in hell Ricketts is going to shell out $500, $600 million for him. That's why the Astros traded him. They didn't want to
deal with it.
But they've still got Altuve.
And they got the Cubs' third baseman.
Yeah, and he's on pace for 35 fucking home runs, by the way.
And playing.
And what did I say?
Playing good.
I want credit for this. I want credit for this. Did I not say when that trade happened?
You did not like it.
I do not like letting Paredes go.
You are on record of saying that.
And I fucking knew this would come back and bite us in the ass.
Because the Cubs, if they don't
They
trade him,
screwed that kid over twice now.
Yeah.
He's been on the Cubs roster twice, and both times they bailed on him as quickly as they possibly could.
Why? Because they're idiots.
Yeah. And they would have had control over him this year and next year. And again, I would have been fine with put Suzuki out in the outfield. Again, if you're so concerned about money, you could have kept Talkman for next to nothing, and you could have used him as your 4th outfielder. Then you have Paredes at 3rd, and look at that lineup, kids. Doesn't look too bad. I know everybody in Chicago loves Kyle Tucker right now, and I do too. But they're never going to give him $500, $600 million.
No, and what team is going to want to trade for him?
Well, he's going to be a free agent.
Exactly.
And they're not going to trade him. Although I said last week they should.
The Cubs need to trade him because if they're not going to re-sign him, he walks and they get nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, if they don't win the World Series this year, it's a failure. It's an absolute abject failure. If they do not win the World Series this year and they let him walk,
then they fucked up again. Yep. Not a good way of doing business.
No. Then, of course, the White Sox, we discussed a little bit, and kudos to them again for snapping Toronto's 10-game winning streak. And by the way, loving Toronto right now. Taking over the American League East.
Suck it, Yankees.
Listen to those bitch-ass Yankees fans whine and bitch and moan. Oh, Aaron Boone with his nicknames for everybody. Ooh, he's so cool. He's such a great... He's an awful, overrated manager.
He's not good.
And I got to listen to these kiss-ass sycophants on the Fan out of New York. They've got 2 or 3 in particular. All they want to talk about is how, don't you dare abandon the Yankees.
They're going to come back. Oh, Boot'll get them right. No.
Judgy, and Gio.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Right.
Yeah, they just brought up some guy named Schlitter. Yeah, somebody said, you calling him Schlitty? He's an idiot.
Call him the Schlitz?
Yeah. But now normally we would wait until we get to our normal moments of silence, but I think this one deserves special attention, and we will talk about it more at the end of the show, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we will.
But this is our one big moment of silence this week, and Bobby Jenks.
White Sox closer on the 2005 World Series winning team. He closed it out. The big right-hander succumbed to stomach cancer, and he even admitted it was his lifestyle that led to it, but still, 44 years old, living in Spain, dealing with this, signing baseballs to pay for his health care because of bad investments and stupid decisions he made. It hurt. I mean, he's a legend in Sox lore. And a week before the 20th anniversary weekend of the 2005 team, where everybody was getting together, everybody had hoped that Bobby would have been able to make it for it because he was such a major piece of that team going through the playoffs down the stretch.
Yes, he was a major part of that team.
Which we will get to at the end.
And then this could be another, to wrap up baseball, another wonderful...
Rest in peace, Bobby. Thoughts and prayers to your family, friends, Sox Nation.
Yes. Yes, and the tributes, mostly proper tributes, rolled in.
Yes.
Yes, a Chicago baseball legend. So, thoughts and prayers to the late, great Bobby Jenks.
Yes, not only could he throw over 100 miles an hour, but he had one of the most devastating 12-6 curveballs that you'd ever seen. Being able to mix that off speed with the lightning fastball. Oof.
Yep. And that's why this is why we do the podcast, is because of things like this. The players, we can bitch and piss and moan and complain, and rightfully so in a lot of cases.
Which we will, especially at the end of this episode.
But the money, the ridiculous, stupid money, and the lack of effort on the part of a lot of players, not all of them, but a lot of them.
There's a lot.
But I will always look back at your White Sox team, that 2005 team, and look at it, and that was a beautifully, perfectly assembled team.
Yes.
That was a team.
Jenks,
it was not bought and paid for like the current LA Dodgers.
Jenks was the third closer of the season.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The White Sox did not have, by far, not even close to the biggest payroll in baseball.
No, they didn't. And they led from opening day all the way through to the end. Lost one game through the postseason.
Yep. And like I said, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm not putting up with this bullshit from these sports anymore.
Nope. And the Sox love them, but they have a shit team I'm not wasting my time with.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
And I'm telling you on record right now, I'll say it one more time. We just talked about it with my Cubs. If Ricketts fucks us over and plays this stupid little we're going for it this year game with Kyle Tucker, and then, of course, if he lets Tucker go, he's probably going to let Suzuki go, too, because he doesn't want to spend the money.
And
I'm
then he's going to
fucking
be
done
looking
with them
at,
too.
Then he'll
I'm
be
done
looking
with
to
them
trade
too.
PCA because he's not going to want to pay him either.
And they're going to turn into the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yep.
Oh, but people will still pay. They'll still go out in the bleachers and get drunk. Great owner. Great owner. But finally in baseball, I hate to do it. Well, I don't, because it makes us look brilliant, which we are. But this is another we fucking told you so moment. Cleveland pitcher Luis Ortiz is currently on paid leave. Why? A gambling investigation.
Betting on baseball.
Specifically, 2 pitches are what everybody is looking at. This is what happens.
Prop bet?
This is what happens when you legalize gambling. And you think the players are so, they're angels. They're such wonderful people with such immaculate integrity. They'll never do anything.
That's why you have NBA players who are gone for gambling. That's why
NBA
you have
referees.
NFL players gone for gambling.
NBA referees.
Yep.
So
you
let's
dance with the devil, this is what you get.
So let us use that as a segue to move into our one big topic for the NFL this week, which has been bubbling and gestating here for the last couple weeks. But we got some additional information today on July the 9th, and this could destroy the NFL. This is what I'm hearing. You want to push the panic button? That's fine. It has come to light that a confidentiality agreement was put in place between the NFL and the NFL Players
Association. Yeah.
because of a certain issue involving guaranteed money. And that all goes back to Deshaun Watson. Oh, by the way, congratulations.
You sucked some girl into marrying you? Really?
Yeah, he married his quote-unquote longtime girlfriend, Jillian Ace.
Was she a masseuse?
Initially I was going to move this to the dumbass segment, but I'm thinking all this money was guaranteed. This is the problem. So she gets half right now.
Yep.
She gets half.
He fucks up again. Half.
So, and to make him a dumbass just seems redundant. But this problem circles back to that contract because the Cleveland Browns were stupid enough to make it a fully guaranteed deal.
Dumb. Going against conventional wisdom. The typical practice that makes the NFL so great is not having fully guaranteed money.
So now, this idiot at ESPN, who I can't stand, Pablo Torre, who thinks he's now Woodward and or Bernstein, probably thinks he's combined because, he's so fucking great in his own mind, leaked this confidentiality agreement about the guaranteed money where...
Way to go, Pablo. Way to fuck up the best game in the country.
Yeah. So now what we're looking at, and you guys might be going, Maestro, why are you panicking? Why? Because I have heard what we have seen in college sports, you ain't seen nothing. Because if there was collusion, and that is what is being asserted, there was collusion that the league office told the owners, we don't want any more of this. Do not sign fully guaranteed contracts, specifically for quarterbacks, anymore. And that's where this is all bubbling, toil, and trouble.
Yeah.
Because now I'm hearing lawsuits. Here's the bad thing. First level of disaster. Any quarterback who signed a contract after Deshaun Watson could potentially get his entire contract fully guaranteed. Disaster level 2. Disaster. Any player
who signed their contract after Deshaun Watson could have it all fully guaranteed.
That will destroy the financial structure of the NFL. Absolutely destroy it. Ask the NBA how that's working out for them. And we'll get to them in a few minutes.
Street clothes.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a few minutes. Ask Major League Baseball how that's working out for them. When you've got Bobby Bonilla Day and you're going to have Shohei Ohtani Day coming up.
Ridiculous crap.
You are going to price out the fans because you're going to have to jack up ticket prices and concessions, and you're going to make it so they can't even watch it at home because
you're going to have to hit the streaming to get the revenue.
Licensing prices are going to go through the roof.
And then God forbid you might want to get a hat or a jersey.
Yeah.
Or any team swag. Those prices are going to skyrocket.
So we will keep you up to date on this, kids.
Way to go, Roger, you piece of crap.
But this is where we're headed. And just a quick aside, in college football, they've got the Big 12 Media Day going on right now. And one of the coaches came out and basically said, we have no fucking idea what the rules are right now.
Yeah, there are none. It's a wild, wild west.
They're claiming other teams are cheating. They're breaking the rules that supposedly were set as of July the 1st, and Deloitte, or whoever's supposed to be watching over them,
ain't doing shit.
No, because they don't know what the rules are.
This is what you get when you let the inmates run the asylum.
Congratulations. So basically, what we're going to end up in 10 years, we're going to end up being a third world country.
Pretty much. We're on our way.
Between our idiot government and the idiot protesters and
the morons who don't know how to run any sports on any level.
We are going to be poor. All of us are going to be poor. 95% of us looking out on our balconies, drinking swill beer, if we can afford that. Not being able to afford television, not being able to afford the internet, looking out at the smoke-filled, smog-filled horizon, going, isn't this a wonderful life?
Preppers unite!
I told you I'm coming to your house. I know what you got. I'm coming to your house. You got a keg of beer and you got plenty of guns.
I got one or two.
Yeah. Well, since we brought up college football, let's bring up Notre Dame real quick. Rice. Of course, Notre Dame is our local team, just a few miles outside of the Sports Frenzy studios. Rice has been added to the 2026 schedule. A home game in week 2. Ooh. Yeah. That really proves to me Notre Dame.
Yeah, they're just following everybody else.
But then injury-prone offensive lineman Charles Jagasa now has
Charles dumb asshole?
Yeah, because he had issues last year, and now he broke his arm on a UTV.
Idiot! Revoke his scholarship. Make him pay it back.
Oh, you know they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that.
Ugh.
My Buccaneers, bad news going back to the NFL for just a second. Bad news on the Buccaneers front. Our best offensive lineman, of course, left tackle Tristan Wirfs. Knee issues. He will miss the start of the season. He will probably go on the PUP list meaning he will miss a minimum of 4 games. Ah! Ah! Even in that shitty, awful NFC South.
You can't. That hurts.
One of the best left tackles in the league. So I'm not happy. Will this affect where I want to draft Baker Mayfield in fantasy football in a month and a half?
Could be.
We'll see. I am high.
Yes, you are. Oh.
No. I don't do that. I don't live in Niles, Michigan, where there are 47 dispensaries.
Within a 2-block radius.
No. I am high on Baker Mayfield. I am high on Chris Godwin. I am high on Mike Evans, the entire Buccaneers team. Because you only have to finish 9-8 to win that train wreck of a division. So
this is true.
All right. Don't have anything in the NHL this week. We do have a little bit of basketball to talk about because the Orlando Magic are now officially your number 1 top contending team in the Eastern Conference. People, 2 massive, awesome moves this week.
They went all in for this upcoming season.
Number 1, you knew it was coming. The rookies.
Banchero got paid.
Paolo Banchero got his 5-year, $239 million max rookie extension, which could end up being worth as much as $287 million. Yes, it's stupid, idiotic money, kids. But I'm not cutting the check, so I don't care. Because Chet Holmgren, same rookie class, because we talked about it.
Yep.
I was begging the Magic to take Paolo. Thank God.
Yep. Holmgren gets his max rookie deal from the Thunder.
Yep. So you knew, but the subtle, under-the-radar move that I love. Last week, you'll remember I was depressed. I was poo-poo sad. Because we let Mo Wagner go. Because we did not want to pay him $11 million a year on a 1-year deal. Well, guess what happened?
What happened?
Moritz Wagner is back on a 1-year, $5 million deal. So we saved $6 million, baby. Bringing back my man, Mo Wagner, brother of Franz Wagner.
The Wagner boys together again.
The team is intact the way I want it to be. The team is intact. And I'm scared of what Mike Smith taking over as the head coach of the Knicks.
Yeah, no.
Give me Mike Brown. Sorry, Mike Brown.
Yes.
Sorry, very generic name. My apologies, Mike Brown.
Smith, Jones, and Brown.
Am I scared of him? No. The idiots in New York screwed this up by firing Tom Thibodeau.
The East was wide open for Tibbs.
Wouldn't it be funny? And I'm not wishing for this. But if Jamal Mosley does not have a good year with the Magic, and he gets fired, and they bring in Tom Thibodeau,
oh baby.
Boy, I don't think Jamal Mosley's going to fail. The East is if that team does not finish at least third in the East this year, considering the fact now we have confirmation Tyrese Halliburton done for next year.
We knew that.
Right. But now they've confirmed it. And then Celtics are going to be without Jason Tatum. They're still holding out hope that somehow he'll come back.
Maybe for the playoff run.
And then the Bucks, Okay, great. You brought in Miles Turner, but you don't have any ball handlers because you cut bait on Damian Lillard, who was going to miss the year anyway.
Yep, and we have to apologize to the Pacers because last week we called them idiots for not wanting to go into the tax. Came out, they were willing to go in and pay the luxury tax to keep him. But he just found the deal with the Bucks and signed it before the Pacers could counter.
Because I'd heard that he wanted to stay. So I don't know if there was a miscommunication there or
Maybe
what.
there was, but reports out of Indy are as they were willing to go into the luxury tax bracket to pay him to stay.
And they just brought in a replacement for him, not quite as good, of course, but we'll see how it plays out. Again, without Tyrese Halliburton, how good are they really going to be?
Yeah.
You don't have your primary ball handler, your point guard. All right, I have to admit something. I'm not proud of this, especially
You started watching the WNBA.
I watched one game today because it was on at noon. What else? This was part of my healing.
You could have been
Listen to me.
You could have been taking your frustrations out and done some yard work.
Everybody hates me because I don't do my yard work. I'm the bum on the street.
We were just discussing a plan for you.
I'm the lovable bum on the street. Everybody wants Kev at the party, but nobody wants to look at his lawn and his landscaping debacle. I told you, though, if these idiot weather people would get their shit together and not predict rain every afternoon, so I'm like, well, how am I going to spray the weeds? How am I going to do this if it's going to start raining on me in 10 minutes?
Do you know how many times I've been rained on?
I don't know, Dave.
Lots.
I'm not into the whole golden showers thing.
Hey!
Sorry. That was out of line. But yes, I did watch a WNBA game today. But it was part of my healing because I'm putting away one of the things I'm doing to get myself better. No more, I'm not watching this bullshit 6 hours of sports talk in the morning. Not watching it anymore. I'm done with it. They bore me. They're not as smart as us. I don't need this in my life anymore. But I did watch the Indiana Fever today because they were on at noon. A matinee show, as the kids call it. And they were so bad. Oh my God, they were so bad.
Who did they lose to?
The new team, the expansion team.
Oh, you don't lose to an expansion team.
The Golden State Valkyries.
You can't lose.
And they got their asses kicked 80-61 down at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Oh, God, at home you get shellacked by a franchise. Expansion.
Yep, so now they're 9-10. This was the first game after missing 5 games with a groin injury. Hey, don't you dare say anything about Caitlin Clark. Although my neighbor, his great insight into life, as we're watching the NASCAR race this past weekend, he says, his prediction is, Caitlin Clark will play 2 more years in the WNBA and then go into pornography. And I'm like, no. Sophie Cunningham, maybe. But not Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I could see that. Is he stroking out again?
No. I think he just says these things just to irritate me. But Caitlin Clark today returned after missing 5 games with that groin injury. She didn't play bad, but she was limited. The whole team just looked awful. Awful.
Completely out of sorts as they're getting ready to head into their all-star break.
Yes, because, of course, she was one of the captains, and they drafted their teams.
They traded coaches.
Yeah, yada, yada.
Good for them.
But here's how bad the Fever were today, the Indiana Fever. for the game, they shot 31% from the field.
Yeesh.
They were actually competitive in the first quarter. They scored 23 points. Do the math, kids. That means that for the next 3 quarters, they put up a grand total of 38 points.
Yeesh. Yeesh.
So, I think,
That's ice cold.
I don't know if Stephanie White's a good head coach. I don't know. She doesn't seem to do anything to motivate these players. I don't see how she's any better than the coach they had last year.
He's no good.
And then, just so I can get a little dig in on the NBA before we move on.
Gee, how much would it take to get Gino out of UConn?
I'll tell you what, I can't remember what her name was. First year as a head coach, this woman coaching the Valkyries expansion team, I loved her. I thought she was all over the place. She's shouting out instructions. She's motivating. She's got an expansion team above 500.
Very nice.
So let's learn something from her.
Let's look at some coaching here, kids.
Yeah. But, because again, I want to get a dig in on the NBA before we move on. This is how screwed up. We talked about the problem that could be looming, the dark cloud looming in the horizon for the NFL when it comes to this collusion issue. I just want to point out that the NBA ain't much better, kids.
No.
We just talked about what Paolo Banchero's getting and Chet Holmgren is getting. They're bragging about this Kevin Durant trade that we reported a few weeks ago, but now the final trade involved 7 teams. And they're going, oh, isn't this amazing? No!
It's stupid!
It shows how your system is so screwed up that you have to get 7 teams involved
to make this work.
For screwed up bookkeeping purposes.
It's insane. And why would anybody at this point want Durant on their team?
And I'll tell you something else. Wouldn't it be better if you made it so that your finances, your financial transactions were actually understandable to your fans? Because the fans don't even understand how this works with the NBA.
Hell, we don't even know how it works in the NFL.
And that's a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
And you got all the deferred money in a baseball, like we were just joking about with Shohei Ohtani. We always say it. It's scary to say it, but Gary Bettman might be the best commissioner out of the 4 major.
The finances of the NHL under control.
And we talked about last week where they said now they're going to have labor peace for the next 5 or 6 years, and they are not doing deferred money.
No.
So, we said it here, kids. Gary Bettman might be the smartest commissioner of the 4 major U.S. team sports. All right, kids, we are, of course, in the heart of racing season. Oh, what's that? Your bracket's busted?
So's everybody's.
Nobody cares.
Who gives
This
a
is
shit?
the biggest failure in the history of motorsports, this whole in-season challenge, this in-season tournament crap.
We fucking told you it was a stupid-ass idea, and it's playing out.
The drivers don't care, the fans don't care, and you can just see the randomness of what's going on and see who's left in the final 8. Nobody cares. You've eliminated
all your top drivers.
6 or 7 of the 8 drivers are in the bottom half of the standings otherwise?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Way to go, NASCAR.
Yeah. So, we will recap last weekend's Chicago street race.
Chicago, that title in town.
Where normally we would pull out the dulcet tones of Billy Joel when we almost all of us, pick the same driver, and we sing from the nylon curtain. And we will all go down together.
But we did not.
We all won together. We all won together. Except for poor, pitiful Doug.
Who wound up third?
Second.
Oh, it was second because of the caution. Reddick was not able to overtake Gibbs for second place.
Yes, and of course that was the big point of controversy and contention for the weekend was, why didn't NASCAR throw the caution on the Cody Ware wreck sooner?
Yeah, he went head on into the tire barrier. Should have been an immediate caution. NASCAR claims it's on them that it was in a blind spot of the track where they didn't see it in a timely fashion and the report took time to get to them. Bullshit. They wanted to see if Reddick might possibly be able to mount that last second charge.
They didn't want to see that. Because obviously, if they'd thrown the caution, he would have had a better shot.
Well, no, they had already taken the white flag when he hit the wall.
See, that's not what I'm seeing. They're saying that there still would have been overtime.
No, once the white is taken, that's it.
But they're saying they should have thrown it before the white flag.
I thought that it
Why would there be any controversy otherwise?
Who knows?
No, I think that's the complaint, is that it might have been a bang decision, but before they took the white flag, that's when Cody Ware, like you said, ran full force into the tires. Because otherwise there wouldn't be a controversy. If the white flag was already out, that's it. So it had to have happened before.
Just before.
But yeah, that's the thing. Tyler Reddick, the way he was coming on, if you'd given him a green-white checkered,
probably
could have overtaken
the win.
Van Gisbergen. Now, here's the thing, number one. I don't in any way, shape, or form, I don't believe NASCAR likes Van Gisbergen at all. Because he's screwing up everything for him. Because he dominates the road courses now that he's a full-time driver. Here's my thing, and I'm going to stick up for NASCAR. For once, I think it was weather. I think they wanted that race full in and done. And if they pushed it another 20 minutes, it might have been a weather issue.
Potentially.
And they didn't need another Chicago race with another weather issue. And they were happier with Van Gisbergen winning than having another weather delay. Or,
potentially.
Having to force everybody to go in for one lap or two laps on wets. But that being said...
SVG. Clinch, finally, I get a win.
Yeah, all 8 of our expert panelists are now in the Frenzy Cup playoffs.
Locked in.
Although I will tell you, well, give me a minute. Let's recap the race, and then I will vent. So Shane Van Gisbergen dominates the weekend. Both poles, Cup and Xfinity, both wins.
Yep.
Cup and Xfinity.
And they are a team that runs the race backwards. They figure out where the tire and fuel stops need to be. They did not care about stage points.
No, they're going for the win. They were going for the win. They went
straight for the win because he got no stage points at all.
Nope, but he got the win. God bless him. His magnificent, what is he, Swedish? Norwegian? No. What is he? German?
New Zealander.
New Zealander? Kiwi? God bless his goddamn Kiwi ass. I only went through, 7 nations there before I finally got the right one?
When I had to give it to you.
Yeah. Who is the most famous New Zealander racer of all time?
Right now, SVG.
All right, so you might not like the way the race went, but it did go the way we predicted. 7 of the 8 of us.
Yep. Again, you had... I love how they made a big deal of Bubba Wallace and
Alex Bowman
before the race because they're locked in on the bracket together.
Oh, nobody cares about the fucking bracket.
They were trying to build it, and the controversy from last year where they got together and Bubba got taken out and Bowman went on to win. Again, they wound up near the end, racing each other hard, got together, and then Bubba came across Bowman and got wrecked. After the race, Bowman's comments like going off, and then he talks to Bubba, and Bubba said, "Yeah, that's my fault. My spotter couldn't see anything. I was blind. I didn't know you were there. Sorry, that's on me."
Yeah,
and Bowman's like, "Well, shit, now I feel like crap for making my comments before I talk to him."
Well, yeah, that was the one that I thought was the talking point moment. I thought it was Carson Hocevar.
Yeah.
Everybody still hates Carson Hocevar.
I like Carson Hocevar.
He's very aggressive, and it cost a lot of drivers.
There we go. I like the kid.
And my prediction almost bit me in the ass, where I mentioned a couple months ago, I predicted Hocevar wins a cup race before Ty Gibbs.
Ooh, that was close.
Ty Gibbs was second. But I still have hope in my prediction.
Yep. And then you got the post-race confrontation between Logano and Chastain after Chastain flat.
Yeah, not many
Logano.
people like Chastain either.
No, Chastain was in the wrong taking Logano out. With that big melee that spun him, it was not Logano's fault. It happened behind them. He got hit by somebody who's got their brakes locked up, and it was just an accordion effect that got Chastain spun. It wasn't Logano's fault.
Then, of course, didn't we have, God help us all, Catherine Legge finished in the top 20?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So that's going to validate everybody. Oh, isn't it wonderful?
But that's what
she survived the one big melee at the beginning. That's why
she's a road racer. You would expect her to have done halfway decent.
I still think she's an awful driver. I still think
she needs more time practicing in a cup car because of the weight difference.
Oh, and what I was going to say about Doug, I am still firmly entrenched in the belief that we had it right a couple years ago until Bill started bitching.
Oh, everybody needs to make it.
And then we had to lighten up the rules and say,
if you get a win, you're automatically...
Doug is still out on points,
yeah.
But he's going to get in because he got a win. See, to me, that's bullshit. Sorry.
I don't like it.
No offense. Doug is a great guy and we love him.
And before this, I missed on points, even though I had a win. I was fine. I didn't pick correctly down the stretch.
Before Bill
whining, bitching, crying.
Pushed his socialism rules on us.
Yeah, why don't you go move to New York there?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody gets a participation medal.
No. The world needs ditch diggers too.
Everybody's in now, so I'm just now I want Doug to at least get enough points where he makes
it legit
into the top 10 where I can say, okay, he would have made it anyway. Or at least if he wins 2 races, then I'm fine with that. But if he gets in on 1 win and doesn't have enough points, then I might have some words for Bill at the fantasy football draft. I will say that.
And I will back you on that.
Socialist Bill. We'll call him Roger Waters. Oh, and speaking of the Chicago street race, as we wrap things up with that, news has now come out that, of course, the 3-year contract has ended. Chicago does not want the street race on the 4th of July weekend anymore. They will forego the race if NASCAR cannot put it on a different weekend because it's just too much to handle.
Well, yeah, because everybody wants to go down to the lakefront for the big weekend and all the fireworks stuff.
And people getting shot and killed.
Exactly.
And, yeah, you know.
Yeah, good times.
Our 3 major cities.
Our cesspools.
Oh, my God. Why would you want to go to New York City, Chicago, or L.A.? Why?
I got nothing.
And I'm telling you, my prediction on this, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. They're going to give it to San Diego. They're going to put the San Diego race. They're going to do the San Diego street race. Because the people down there are like, we'll do it. Why not?
Fuck it.
We live in luxury and paradise every weekend. Why do we care?
We just have the whores walking, flaunting their wares in front of schools.
In San Diego?
Yeah, down in that area.
Oh, shit.
Because
I need to reevaluate where I live.
The prosecutors won't do anything. They took the pandering off.
I thought San Diego is like the most beautiful city in the world.
It is, except for, have you not followed it over the last 2 years?
I guess I need to start researching San Diego and start thinking about moving there.
I think it was their county or just outside of San Diego. The communities there are dealing with that crap.
Really? Oh, I'm all in on this now. They don't mention this on Zillow.
No, they don't.
Beautiful. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with prostitutes nearby.
Look at the out-of-shape whores walking down the street.
Now, you didn't say they were out of shape. Now, I'm not going somewhere where I'm dealing with saggy boob, out-of-shape whores.
Wearing their lingerie and everything
else.
else.
That ugly-ass split fat stomach that I see on Patrol Live every once in a while. That has got to be the most disgusting thing. I'd rather see somebody shit their pants than see that split, disgusting stomach. Do these people
not look at themselves in the mirror before they
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That is the most disgusting thing in the world.
Yeah.
Is when you get so fat.
You've got the split.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah. This is what you get from Sports Frenzy 2.0.
What were we talking about? Oh, yeah, NASCAR.
No. Well, one more thing in NASCAR, and then I'll let you take over for F1. Because now F1's the big thing with Brad Pitt's big movie. It has been announced that the Clash in 2026, the NASCAR Clash, will indeed return to Bowman Gray Stadium. We, of course, reported here, what was it, a week or two ago, that they had an agreement, something about splitting the costs of a big new electronic scoreboard, and that would lock in some event at Bowman Gray every year. So next year will be the Clash. That's cool.
That's fine.
Yep.
Back to the roots.
Yep. So, have you watched, by the way, Earnhardt yet on
I have not.
Prime Video? Okay.
I still have to get myself in the right frame of mind for it.
Just asking. There is so much crap out there. We'll get to this on the weekend edition. That's one of my 15 rants.
So much to watch.
I am so upset with pop culture and movies and streaming this week. I have got so much. You guys want to literally, I know you can't see it on a podcast because we don't do it on video, but if you want to hear somebody's head explode, tune into the weekend edition. My head will explode.
For a reference point, look up Scanner's head explosion. All I'm gonna say,
Michael Ironside, the actor.
Yep.
Whose head exploded most infamously on that movie. But okay, so now we've got F1.
So F1, yes. Was it?
Lando Norris won the British Grand Prix.
Yep, because his teammate did a bad brake check under caution with the safety car and was penalized 10 seconds. And he bitched, pissed, and moaned, "Tell Norris to let me back by to where my rightful place should be." And they're like, no. If you want the win, race for it. He wound up finishing 6 seconds behind. So, figure it out, dude.
Now, the other story coming out of the British Grand Prix, a feel-good story. Let's say we don't have enough feel-good stories.
No, we need a feel-good story.
Nico Hülkenberg.
His first ever podium finish.
Yep, finished in third. 239 F1 starts, and he finally gets his first podium finish.
Good for you.
For Sauber Racing.
Yep, good for them.
Kick Sauber, whatever they call it.
Yeah. So, but the big news of the week in F1, Red Bull fires their team principal, Christian Horner.
After 20 years.
20 years, responsible for 8 driver championships, 6 constructor championships, and 124 victories. This guy was on borrowed time starting last year when the sexual harassment allegations against him came out, and they covered the investigation up. They're struggling. Yes, they built a car for Verstappen. Maybe they tweaked it too much because the secondary drivers for Red Bull have amounted to jack squat. So they are third in the Constructor Championship.
And they're worried that Verstappen's going to leave.
Yeah, because he's a free agent after this, and other teams are a-calling.
Yep. And what does the whole principle thing mean?
It means...
See,
basically, it's like what Jeff Gordon is for Hendricks. He kind of oversees everything.
Yeah, because I saw principal and CEO. I'm like, I get CEO, but what the hell?
The principal just kind of oversees the entire operation. And
oh my God, why can't we just all get along with the language? CEO, I understand.
Because it's F1 and they're pretentious asshats.
Now that I get.
Now there's also voting coming up for head of the FI Formula One. The Saudi guy is under attack.
Overall?
Yeah. So, I can't remember the guy's name. He was fired from his role within running F1, and now he's making a play to be voted in.
A power play?
Yep.
Always love a good power play.
So we will see how that rolls out.
All right, and all of that leads us into race 20 of the NASCAR Cup season this coming Sunday.
The lame-ass Sonoma race in hoity-toity Napa Valley, California.
Yep, that will be Sunday, July the 13th, 2025. The Toyota Save Mart 350.
Move it down the coast to Laguna Seca and WeatherTech Raceway.
And why do we have 2 road courses back to back?
I don't know.
But to me, that works in the favor of one man. One great and glorious road course driver who I don't think will be denied this year now. I made the mistake once. I will not make it again. You can overthink it. Sam can overthink it. Bill can overthink it. Nick can overthink it. Doug can overthink it. Well, but Aaron and I will not overthink this. We are going with SVG again.
It's so hard to go back to back.
He won the Xfinity last year at Sonoma. It's not like he doesn't know the track. He didn't run the Cup race last year. He will win this again. He will they will put in rules after this year. They will put in rules to somehow penalize him. Because like I said with Chicago, they don't want him winning all these races. They don't.
Too bad, so sad. I am going with the hard charger at the end of the race, Tyler Reddick.
My second pick. That was my second pick. And if SVG had not looked good in Chicago, I probably would have gone with you. I think it's a very good pick, but it's not as good as SVG, baby.
Now, I've got him penciled in somewhere else.
Oh, I do too. I do too. Because
So-
I could. Now, Aaron's maxed out. This is it for Aaron. We'll see who Mrs. C takes. Sam and Bill are of like mind.
Yep, Chris Buescher.
Who runs very well at Sonoma. But he's one of those drivers I just can't trust.
I know, it's...
If I have absolutely no idea who's going to win a race, and I think he's good enough to get me 30 points, I would
Then
take
I'll
it.
take it,
That's
yes.
it. That's
Not for a win.
Nope. Nick taking, very good pick, Chase Elliott. Doug taking Ryan Blaney because he's trying to disprove my point where I want him to get in the top 10 in points. And he's just trying to pick everybody he possibly can to make sure he doesn't. I'm gonna, when we see him in August, I'm gonna slap him in the face and say, wake up, man, wake up.
I think we need to do some Buford T. Justice love and smack his mama in the mouth.
So to recap, our picks for the 20th race of the Cup Series in 2025, the Sonoma race, the Toyota Save Mart 350. Kevin Aaron takes Shane Van Gisbergen.
I take Tyler Reddick. Sam and Bill take Chris Buescher. Nick goes with Chase Elliott. Doug, Ryan Blaney. And Mrs. C is still within the time
Got
constraint.
about 10 minutes to go. Here, looking at the clock in the studio. Because we will bring the hammer down. No, we won't. I am a benevolent dictator. And if these people haven't figured it out by now, as long as they don't push me, I will give them leeway.
There's
But
grace
you know,
periods.
football season comes around and somebody is going to piss me off right away.
And get the penalty right off the bat.
Because I don't mess around with football season. When I'm dealing with 20 picks instead of one baseball pick or one racing pick, I don't need people giving me shit late.
There's time constraints.
All right, can I do my Clint Eastwood Badass of the Week?
I think it is time for badasses.
You got one too?
I do.
All right. I am going to go with Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry just signed a one-year deal to stay with the Philadelphia 76ers, which makes him, if he makes it through and plays a game this coming season, that is the qualification here. But if he does, and why wouldn't he, unless he blows out his Achilles like everybody else in the East, he would become only the 12th player in NBA history to play 20-plus years in the league.
Damn.
So that would put him in there with LeBron and a lot of big-time luminaries, Vince Carter. But yeah, Kyle Lowry, if he does end up playing this year for the Sixers, only the 12th player ever to log 20 or more years in the NBA.
Good for him.
Yep.
So, I am going with one of your least favorite people in sports.
Oh, great. Great.
One of the Kelsey brothers.
Oh, God.
Jason.
Well, because we're going to talk about Travis in a few minutes.
Yeah,
So.
no. Jason Kelsey, who, 4th of July post on social media. Man, I love the 4th. On one of the great days, we all can set aside our differences in this country and enjoy the one thing we all have in common, that we are Americans. Cheers to you, O beautiful America. He doubled down in what he believes, despite some assholes out there saying, you're entitled, you're out of touch, there's so much wrong, we're all divided. Idiots. No, he doubled down and does not apologize for that. His sentiments are perfect. It's the one day. Set your bullshit aside and enjoy the fact that you have the freedom to dissent and be a raging asshole.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I wish I shared his sentiment. He did. He said it perfectly. That is the way we should all feel. But like I said, this week I am so cynical and so bitter about so many people in life that I wish there were more people like him, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I think most people right now are raging asshats, and I hate them all. Outside of you, of course, and maybe Jason Kelce.
So he's got some stupid things, but no apologies. He said what he believed, and I applaud him for that.
I do too. Because there's so few people out there who have the balls to say something like that because of the miscreants and the idiots who are going to come out in full double-barrel force ripping into you. All right, let's talk a little bit of miscellaneous sports tidbits before we move on. Of course, no moments of silence this week, so we will move right on into the Red Foreman Dumbasses and then Last Call. Now, next week we will recap the finals of Wimbledon, one of the four majors.
The clay.
No.
No, wait, that's...
No, that's the French. We're on the grass.
We're on the grass,
We're
sorry.
on the grass.
We're
not smoking the grass, but we're on the grass. Electronic line calling. Here is something new to Wimbledon. Kind of like how we were talking about with baseball, where they're going to, in the All-Star game, have the ABS. Now they are allowing electronic line calling this year in Wimbledon. Now, here's where your liberal fucktard friends would get upset, in that this also means that they have cut down from 300 line judges this year to 80, what they're calling, quote-unquote, match assistants. So 220 people have lost their jobs.
Well, maybe if they did it right to begin with, we wouldn't have this issue.
I could definitely say that with baseball. And by the way, going back to that, and you mentioned Angel Hernandez, of course, the most obvious example. I saw just a few days ago people calling out some unbelievably egregious bad calls.
Yeah.
And this is what they're screaming for, is the ABS.
Yep. Notably, Cuzzy could potentially have cost the Phillies against the Giants, because his calls, clear balls, called strikes against the Phillies.
That might have been the one I was looking at, yeah.
Clear strikes called balls for the Giants.
That might have been the one.
That's the one.
Yeah. But how, with technology, what we've got right now, aren't we all embracing this?
We want it right. I don't care about the human element.
No.
I want a game called correctly.
So I believe you mentioned Clay. Now, it was erroneous, but still, I think the French Open is the only one of the four majors now which does not use electronic line calling, because with the Clay, it's very obvious.
Right, where the ball hits, it's going to leave the scuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas with the grass or with the hard court, it's harder.
It's a little tougher to determine.
I'm going to save this one for dumbasses. So let's move on. You video game fans out there, EA Sports. Of course. How about you bring the price of the fucking PS5 down a little bit so normal people can afford it, not rich aristocrats like the Conquistador. How many you got? 4? 5 PS5s?
No.
2?
Nick bought himself one, and then my wife, my mom, and the boys pitched in together to get me one as a Father's Day gift.
Does Connor have one?
No, he does not.
What? Oh, he's got the Xbox.
He's got the Xbox.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I'm still working on a PS2. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
You've got, what, 2 4s?
I got 2 4s. Yep. But I am not paying $400, and plus this whole bullshit where you got to pay $50 more for the disk drive. No. No! I will keep playing my Gran Turismo 7 on my PS4. They're still updating it.
Yep, they still have weekly races that I occasionally partake in.
But EA Sports in 2028, we know the PS4 will be obsolete by then. They are bringing back NCAA March Madness.
Oh, now that they have all the NIL things worked out.
Yeah. So now they know they can give all the money to the players.
Great.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome.
Once again.
And then, of course, I know this will excite Dave beyond all belief. We'll have an update on the final results in a couple weeks. But the 112th Tour de France has begun.
Oh, yay.
Oh, and along with that, Joey Chestnut ate 70 and a half hot dogs as he had his glorious, triumphant return
to the Nathan's hot dog eating contest.
And he won his 17th mustard belt.
Yeah. Dude, that's just disgusting.
And there are a lot of people who hate him. I've heard he is a nasty
He's a
human
douche.
being.
He's a raging
not just because
asshat.
of the shoving the hot dogs in his face.
No, he's just an asshole.
Yeah. He
Yes,
actually thinks he's
many
he
reports.
actually thinks he's an elite athlete.
Yeah, no.
Moving on to combat sports. Because we don't talk enough about combat sports here. Now, on the weekend edition again, I'm going to do some different things. I'm going to piss a lot of people off. Shocking.
No, say it
But
ain't so.
I am always an equal opportunity hater. So I am going to rip into the Trump administration this weekend. But I have to give him credit here. I love this idea. As the current president, Donald Trump, wants to, for this year-long celebration of the 250th birthday of America, he wants to have a UFC fight on the grounds of the White House. Hell yeah! Let's do it. Security be damned. How can you? You can't.
You can't. No. The only way is you are only going to have the ring and the fighters. You are not going to have any fans on the grounds.
No. How could
There's
you do that?
no fucking way.
No. No. I agree. There's no way. It's a massive security issue.
Yeah.
Massive.
Once again, he opens his mouth before he thinks.
Yeah, but most of the time he's got some interesting things. I'm not saying they're feasible, but he's got some. He's got that stream of consciousness. He's got that stream of consciousness thinking. And we applaud writers and actors and screenwriters for this stuff. So why can't we applaud our president?
It's an intriguing idea.
But again,
The
security
feasibility
issues
is a nightmare. No.
And then boxer Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. arrested by ICE. Oh no! God forbid! You know, we throw people out of the country who actually don't belong here.
He should have been arrested for that piss-poor showing against Paul. What, he threw 12 punches the whole night? Come on.
Yep, he's got organized crime charges waiting for him in Mexico. And by the way, the leader of Mexico has said, we want him back and we want him to face the music. And we want him to serve time for what he's done.
Yep.
So, don't let people fool you. There are some goofy things going on in this world right now, but it's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. And there are some people in the other countries around the world that might actually agree with some of the stuff we're doing.
Yeah, there are some people that they want to be held accountable for their crimes.
So on that note, as again we skip moments of silence, one more time though, thoughts and prayers to the family and friends of Bobby Jenks. Of course, we had to cover that in a special moment.
During our baseball coverage.
Yes.
As rightfully so.
So we move on to America's favorite Sports Frenzy segment. We've been doing it since the early 90s, and God help me, we're going to keep doing it till the day I drop dead and Dave finds my bloated corpse in this house after a week
of putrefaction.
Hopefully he does not find me after I've watched a porno.
Oh!
Then there could be other fluids involved.
Hazmat will need to be notified.
Yeah. I see semen on the bed sheets. I see semen on the bed sheets.
Are those ligature marks?
Okay, hey now. Hey now. Let's not go too far, okay? You could have stopped at a jar of Vaseline or something, right?
That's what you get for the golden shower reference earlier.
Yeah. I knew you weren't happy with that. All right.
Paybacks. Now, who gets the golden boot up the ass as the Red Foreman dumbass of the week?
Okay, we got 6 nominees. And then, of course, we move on to last call. Your Uncle Dave is taking last call this week.
Yes, I take it personally.
Since we were just talking about Wimbledon a few minutes ago, let's continue on with a couple dumbasses from Wimbledon. Let's talk about Grigor Dimitrov. You say, Maestro, how am I supposed to know who Grigor Dimitrov is? Well, he's a number 19 ranked player in the world. And he retired with a pectoral injury at Wimbledon, holding a 2-set lead over the number 1 player in the world, Yannick Sinner. Now, in and of itself, terrible circumstance, you would say. I agree. Except for doing my due diligence, doing my research.
How did he injure said pec?
No. It's worse. Grigor Dimitrov, this is the 5th straight Grand Slam tournament where he has retired due to injury.
What in the hell?
There's something going on here. Don't tell me a high-level athlete.
Do we need to think that there's some sports betting nefariety going on?
I cannot believe nobody has looked into this bullshit. Because if this guy's supposedly this good, again, number 19 in the world, but he has dropped out of the last 5 Grand Slam tournaments due to injury,
yeah,
something's wrong.
Something going on.
Something's wrong.
Something is going on.
So I will call him out as a dumbass. I will also call out what the WTA or whoever is in charge of this crap
Association. Yeah.
To be looking into this.
Investigate this shit.
I couldn't believe it. 5 Grand Slams in a row. 3 this year and the last 2 of last year.
That's sad.
And he had Yannick Sinner over a barrel.
Ropes.
He had him 2 sets to none.
I would be interested to find out where he was in those other tournaments, too.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned they're using electronic line calling for the first time ever at Wimbledon. But here's the problem with the electronic line calling. You got to make sure it's on. During a match, I believe it was women's singles match, on July the 6th, the electronic line calling system was accidentally deactivated.
You had one job!
And it led to a very, very egregious missed call that luckily did not impact the outcome of the overall match. But still.
One job. Turn the power on.
So now we move on to baseball. So we gave tennis a little nudge or two in the dumbass category. So now it's time for baseball. Actually 3 in baseball. And this one's personal to me. First off, personal. Now, this has been done before, but I'm getting tired of this shit. Let's just put it that way. Podcaster Alex Cooper, who runs a podcast called Call Her Daddy.
Oh, that twit. Yes.
She and a couple friends were invited, why I don't know, to sing the 7th inning stretch at Wrigley Field.
Because it was a whole time, what was it, an ESPN game, and they had some bullshit thing with her. Yeah, because it was
Sunday night, the 6th.
Yeah, it was some bullshit
well, we were
ESPN
beating the shit out
of her daddy crap fest, whatever.
Yeah. And, again, we were beating the shit out of the Cardinals. Should have been a festive night. And this woman, this idiot, and this is why I can't stand podcasters, outside of us, of course, because we know what we're doing. Influencers. Sick of these idiots. People said Roseanne Barr's version of the Star-Spangled Banner was better.
Ouch!
Alex Cooper's version of Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Wow.
So I'm calling out Alex Cooper. I'm calling out Wrigley Field. Stop it. Just play Harry Carey on the big board.
You don't need guests in the booth all the damn time.
And again, I keep referencing the weekend edition. Another big-time Cubs fan stepped in it.
Again.
So we will talk about him on the weekend edition. Rob Manfred. Jesus God.
The man is on the plane of doom.
I don't know if this is that egregious, but it's just...
No, he's on the plane of doom because he's a fucking idiot.
Yes, we know. We know that the NBA and now the NFL, they're battling for Christmas Day, and the NFL owns Thanksgiving Day. But for Rob Manfred, in a recent interview, talking about July the 4th in Major League Baseball, saying that there's, quote, an opportunity there to own that day.
You're the only...
The NBA is done! The NHL is done! There is no NFL! Who are you competing against?
Are you
fucking moron?
Oh, he's got the WNBA to worry about.
Wouldn't that be the shit? If Caitlin Clark kicked his ass on the 4th of July?
You've got games all over because every home stadium is having a fireworks show if they have a night game.
And again, there is no NFL. There is no NBA. There is no NHL. And we all know soccer is not anything to be concerned about.
And the Xfinity Series is not going to impact you on the weekend.
It's
Dumb ass.
so obviously stupid. Yes, you own the 4th of July if you would just take it. All games, all 15 matchups, 30 teams playing on the 4th of July. Not
Boom.
that hard to figure out, Rob.
I think it was a Saturday. Or no.
It was a
Friday.
Friday this year.
Everybody plays on Friday anyway.
I know. So you don't have to do
Mondays
anything
and
special.
Thursdays are the 2 off days for teams.
For the they'll now with the scheduling the way it is, there's an occasional quirk, but you're right.
For the most part, Mondays and Thursdays
Right.
are your off
You're
days.
right. Yep.
Everybody plays Friday. Gee. Fucking retard.
Okay, another reason to hate the Los Angeles fucking Dodgers. And this is a guy I like. And I don't even think he's in the Hall of Fame, which I think is a travesty. Based on his... I appreciate the postseason efforts. Kurt Schilling, Andy Pettitte, those type of guys. Madison Bumgarner. Those are the guys that come to mind. Great postseason pitchers.
Yeah.
I throw in there Oral Hershiser. But...
He had diarrhea of the mouth.
But we need to get over this whole Houston Astros cheating bullshit. Okay?
It happened. It's over.
But because the Houston Astros on July the 4th
Kicked the living shit out of the Dodgers.
18-1 at Chavez Ravine, Oral Hershiser in the booth basically implied that the Astros were stealing signs yet again.
They're hitting these curveballs like they know they're coming. Gee, how about they were hanging curveballs that the pitcher had no control?
Yeah, don't open your yap, Oral, with these conspiracy theories unless you've got some kind of legitimate proof to back them up.
Otherwise, you just sound like an idiot.
Yep.
Or a dumbass.
Now, of course, our final nominee. You mentioned his brother earlier, in a good sense, in a good way. Jason Kelce. Patriotic, sticking up for America.
Yep.
Oh, Tay-Tay.
What are you doing?
What are you doing with this guy? Last week he admitted
He can't read.
he can't read. Now he's back, a back-to-back dumbass of the week nominee. Because I'll tell you one thing, Travis Kelce will never be a coach in the NFL.
No.
Because somebody asked him this past week, well, you know about this new young dynamic player, Travis Hunter, down in Jacksonville, who's going to play both ways. He's going to play wide receiver, and he's going to play cornerback. So how are you going to beat him? The genius, yes, again, the man who can barely read, Travis Kelce says, I think what you do is when he's on defense, you run go routes all the time, you throw deep balls, and tire him out. And of course, everybody that commented on this, and I'm talking about coaches, former players, said, that's not going to work, you idiot. You're going to piss off your number one receiver, first and foremost. You're going to tell Tyreek Hill or Jamar Chase, run go routes. Wear yourself out so we can run out Travis Hunter.
Idiot.
Does he understand the game of football that he's actually supposed to be good at?
Just what he's supposed to do. They tell me to block on this play. They tell me to go here on this play.
All right, so your 6 nominees, once again, are the suspicious activities of Grigor Dimitrov, who has, quote-unquote, retired in 5 straight Grand Slam tournaments, including at Wimbledon, where he had a 2-set lead over the number 1 player in the world. Whoever turned off the electronic line calling in a women's match on July the 6th at Wimbledon. Orel Hershiser for his conspiracy theory about the Astros once again stealing signs. Rob Manfred for saying, I think baseball could maybe own the 4th of July if we tried. Maybe. Travis Kelce for saying you can beat Travis Hunter by just throwing deep balls all the time to tire him out. Or this idiot Call Her Daddy podcaster Alex Cooper for joining a long list of morons who've ruined the 7th inning stretch at Wrigley Field. What do you got, Dave?
I'm going with Manfred.
We could own the 4th of July.
I know you're going with Cooper. Actually,
no, I'm not. No, I am not. No, I am not. No, I am not. I am a conspiracy theorist, as you know. I want somebody to look into this Grigor Dimitrov. I don't. You might not call this a dumbass, but there's something going on here. And if he indeed it keeps constantly
I'm giving you homework for next week
to find out when he retired and all these other.
When he retired and who he was against, and was he in the lead?
I will do that. I will do that.
That I want to know.
Because doesn't that sound phony as hell?
It sounds very suspicious.
You had this latest incident. You had a 2-set lead over the number 1 player in the world, and you, my pec. Oh, my pec. I'm hurt.
Where was he when he retired in the others, and who was he facing off against? That's what I want to know.
So, I in a conspiratorial way, I'm picking him as my dumbass of the week.
So there we go.
And that will lead us into last call. I don't have one this week, but your Uncle Dave is all fired up to take us to the finish line, kids.
This so easily could have been in the dumbass segment, but it's beyond dumbass. ESPN sucks ass. Why, you say? Because after Bobby Jenks passed away, their social media post, Bobby Jenks, a 2-time All-Star pitcher for the Chicago White Sox, who was on the roster when the franchise won the 2005 World Series, died Friday in Sintra, Portugal, the team announced. That ESPN posted on X. Was on the roster. What fucktard running their social media can't do a simple research? Former players. Doug Mankiewicz, who played for the Twins, who played for the Red Sox, who faced Jenks. ESPN should be ashamed and embarrassed for writing something like this. Was on the roster? He was the closer on a championship-winning team. Do some research before you release something. Have some respect. Rest in peace, Bobby Jenks. Condolences to his family and teammates. His catcher, A.J. Przinsky, who is one of the lead Fox broadcasters. He did a whole lot more than just be on the roster. He closed out the World Series. Rest in peace, Bobby Jenks. 2005 forever. Those were just a couple of all the posts ripping into the idiocy that is ESPN. And it took them almost 2 days to correct it.
They did correct it?
Finally, after all the backlash, and this is the second strike ESPN has in regards to covering the White Sox. I think it was like about a year ago. They were talking about Chicago championships. They forgot to mention the 2005 White Sox winning the World Series. fucking morons. ESPN used to be good at covering sports and reporting. They have fallen so far. It's pathetic. They're more worried about social justice issues and all this PC bullshit that they forgot what made them what they were. What they were. They are no longer the top sports station. They are pathetic.
Yeah, and by the way, Bobby Jenks, 4 saves in the 2005 postseason. So he was not just on the roster.
Ugh.
But this is the network that kisses Mina Kimes' ass and lets her, and almost kept Jamel Hill,
Yeah.
that radical bitch, on the roster.
They're just so bad.
And they play double standards. They forced Sage Steele out because, God forbid, she was a Republican. You know, we can't have both sides of the story. We can't.
Why are they even doing social stuff? Report on the sports.
Yeah, and you wonder why. You wonder why. But a lot of people point to Stephen A. Smith and said that he was the one that opened the door, for good or for bad, because he didn't like the liberal factions in the ESPN bullpen saying what they could say, and him not being able to bounce back with a more conservative viewpoint.
Yep. So there you go.
Yeah, and then he signs his big $100 million extension, so he can say what he wants, but then everybody else has to be liberal. Yeah, namby-pamby liberals. Oh, we're just getting warmed up, kids. Do not forget to check out the weekend edition Saturday morning. I have been holding back. There's
a lot going.
I have got a lot to discuss this weekend. Your Saturday morning hangover cure coming up July the 12th, 2025. Your Uncle Dave and I will review 6 new songs. We will play America's favorite pop culture game show. Rank those songs. We'll also review season 1 on HBO Max of Duster. And then, of course, we will review the much ballyhooed, much hyped movie Sinners.
And I have a book review.
And we'll
a
have
short story collection.
There we go. I know we've got a book review coming up next Saturday as well. But also, of course, we're going to have dumbasses. I will have a last call. Yeah, my last call I'm saving for the pop culture idiots, Hollywood, this coming weekend. So
we got it, baby.
Yep. But what will we start off with? Will it be cracking a beer? Will it be bacon frying? Will it be a cock crowing? Will it be coffee percolating?
Or will it be somebody unleashing the gas from their intestines?
You'll just have to check it out Saturday morning and find out, kids. But we hope you enjoyed, of course, the sports edition. As always, we love bringing it to you. And we also love the weekend edition. And if you don't, for some reason, want to indulge in our pop culture commentary, I don't understand why, because we hate Hollywood, so you should be jumping in with it on us. But
there you go.
You know, if not, that's cool.
We'll talk to you next Thursday.
Yep, 7 days from now, we'll do the sports all over again. But until then, say goodnight to the kids, David.
Good night to the kids, David.